If you studied mining in Ghana over time, you would see that, particularly in some of the communities, what we've had is really the negative impact. And in recent times, you've heard conversations about the galamsey and how it is polluting our water bodies. Relative to the benefits, it seems to suggest to us that we are not getting the full social and economic benefits that we hope to get from mining. What our research suggests to us is that whilst mining revenues constitute a large majority of revenues that goes into district, the impact in terms of development is quite very poor in many of these mining districts. The other part of it is that communities where these mining resources are actually not engaging, they are not participating in the manner in which these resources is governed. The worrying part of mining districts is that whilst all districts receive some kind of central level support for development purposes, so they receive their common fund, district development fund, other funds, mining districts have an additional shot in the arm. They receive some revenues from the mining resources that they have. And so you would expect that relative to other districts that do not have mining, they'll be doing very well if you look at their education, their learning outcomes, water, health outcomes and all of that. You would see some improvement in there. But if you look at our district league table, for example, you'll be surprised that some districts that do not have additional resources that comes to them or are not mining districts, they are doing very well than even many of our mining districts. And so the question then becomes, why this resource scarce, so to speak, and what needs to be done about it? What really is the problem for this mining district who have additional resources, but you don't see impact in terms of the lives of the people who live in these communities? And so it's important that we put a spotlight on it and try to understand how the resources are governed both at the national level, at the local level, and how communities are participating in this process to ensure that there is some accountability in how we utilize these revenues that comes to us. So we are coming up with a project that will allow us, one, to collect more information about how much money comes into a district, where it is invested, and what is the impact, so that this information will be made available to citizens, to policymakers, so that we can all have a conversation about how we address the mining negative externalities that we see. So the project is for 2 years. We've selected out of 15 mining districts in Ghana, 8 districts where we want to be. It's a pilot where we want to go and pilot this study. We use a number of criteria to select these districts. First, we looked at the mining resources itself, right? How heavy in terms of mining is happening in that district, which companies are involved, what are their output year on year. So that's one. Then the second big part of it is to look at the socio-economic outcomes that we are seeing. So we use a number of data. So we have the Ghana Living Standard Survey. So we use to assess all of the districts, see where is the living standards in this district. We use the poverty map to look at. We have a poverty map that the Ghana Statistical Service has produced to tell us the state of poverty across all of our 260 districts. Then we went into our own district league table where we assessed social service delivery across all of the districts, and we looked at education, health, water, sanitation, and all of that. Because we are also interested in the advocacy, the dissemination, the uptake of the policy, we're also interested in understanding the kinds of social infrastructure, social groups, civil society organizations, media that exist in all of these districts, so that once the report is released, it could be some kind of a platform for them to have these kinds of conversations. So these are the criteria that we use in selecting the 8 out of the 15 districts. And what we essentially want to do is to develop a scorecard, a performance scorecard, to see among these 8 heavy mining districts, what is the state of development and what explains that state of development. Maybe we could learn something from it. There will certainly be variations in terms of how these districts are managing their resources. And these 8 districts are spread across 6 regions. And so I think that we've covered enough of the regions. What we seek to do first is to sort of do some kind of buy-in meetings with our national level stakeholders, the ministries, the agencies, to try and explain to them what we want to do. We also want to go into the district to understand really what the processes are around decision-making in the utilization of these mining resources. Then we want to also talk to the communities to assess their feedback on the kinds of impact and knowledge and awareness about how these resources is being utilized. Then we put a report together, launch that report, There may be some policy recommendations that may come out of what we understand from the field, and we hope that we can create opportunities for dialogue, for discussion that is informed by the evidence that we generate, so that we can have policy actions to address the development gaps that we are seeing in many of our mining districts. In terms of our national level stakeholders, we've had meetings with the Ministry of Local Government so far. We've had meetings with the head of local government service. We had meetings with the Minerals Commission, and we have other meetings that are lined up in the coming weeks that we want to complete. And the bigger part of it is we want to go into the district and then to speak with the district government, the local government in each of these 8 districts, to try and interest them so that we can work together to come up with this report that will be useful to address the issues and the challenges that we have with the way in which we manage mining resources, both at a national level and then also at a district level. We have transparency, we have accountability, we have stronger community oversight in terms of participation. Then we can be able to have good development outcomes. That we would have investment that address our education needs, our health needs, our sanitation needs, and then our general economic needs, particularly in these communities who are directly suffering the negative externalities of mining, as we've all talked about in Ghana.